Towards the sound hole, not a lot of note. Towards the saddle, much more note. So you want to find that sweet spot for you where you get that thud, that almost round, globby-like sound, but have that note speak.
Guitar geeks unite!
Does a better guitar make you a better guitar player? I think the answer will actually surprise you because it's not as cut and dry as you may think. We're gonna dig into that controversy here in just a little bit. Plus, I'm gonna show you a guitar that is rather inexpensive that makes you sound completely and utterly different, and you don't have to learn anything new to use it. Plus, I'm gonna show you a few different ways to make your guitar sound totally bizarre if you wanna get really weird. But first, I wanna offer to you a tonal tool for your guitar toolbox. Let's dig into palm muting right now. Before we dig in today, if you're an older adult learning guitar, you gotta check out Tony's Acoustic Challenge. Every single week, I teach the fundamentals of guitar through nostalgic songs that you love, and over 41,000 older guitar learners are already inside. Go ahead and click the link in the description to check it out. All right, so I wanna focus on palm muting today. I wanna teach you the basics of palm muting. This is actually one of those techniques that when you see it or you see somebody doing it, you think, oh, that's easy. Then when you go to do it, you're like, I guess that's a lot harder than I thought. It doesn't look like much, but it really gives you another color, another tonal color to paint with, if you will. Let me first give you an example of what it sounds like in case you've never heard it before, and then I'll teach you kind of the nuances and how to mess around and experiment with this so you can kind of use it for your playing, how you like to play. So palm muting sounds something like this. So on and so forth. You kind of get the idea. Now, if I didn't palm mute it, it would sound like this. Still fine. Both are great, right? They're not, one's not bad, one's not better. There's just two different tonal approaches. And I think palm muting doesn't get used all that much on acoustic guitar. I mean, it gets used on acoustic guitar, but I think it's one of those secret weapons that you can use that not only enhances the tone of your playing or gives you another tone to offer, but it also allows you to really sink into the dynamics of what you're playing. Instead of having everything be the same volume and the same sound, like if you're playing a 12-bar blues like that, you can now start to vary things so that it has this kind of wave of dynamic interest. So you could start playing something like palm muted and then kind of bring up the energy and not palm mute so that it kind of expands that dynamic range. It would sound like this. So it can be mixed. Just because you start palm muting doesn't mean you have to do it for the whole song, and of course, vice versa. So how do you actually palm mute? Like I said before, it's a lot harder than it seems, because if you're coming from electric guitar, if you've dabbled with the electric guitar and kind of tried palm muting on it, it's a lot easier to get sound because everything's amplified. With the acoustic guitar, we don't have any amplification whatsoever, so we have to be very, very precise and almost, maybe surgical is too strong of a word, but we have to be almost surgical as to where we place the palm of our hand to get that nice thuddy round sound, but still have the note speak. So here's how we do that. I'm not gonna have you fret a darn thing right now. What I want you to do is take your picking hand, take the meat of the bottom edge of your picking hand, and I want you to line it up with the saddle of your guitar, the white part that the strings cross over there. And we're just gonna focus on the low E string right now. You'll see my pinky's kind of straight down, just so you can kind of see the perpendicular line of that bottom edge of my hand. So you're gonna take that meat of your hand, and you're gonna go ahead and just lay that on the saddle, and then you're gonna take your pick, and you're just gonna gently hit the low E string on a downstroke. Right, and then you can lift up your palm, hear the open string, and then bring it back. Okay, Okay, that's step number one, just getting used to that difference between, okay, open string sounds like this, palm muted string sounds like this. Then what I want you to do is start to mess with the positioning of your palm, right? So the closer to the sound hole you go, the more percussive and less, note, or I guess less melodic is a way to describe it. You won't get any note, you're just gonna get pure thud. I can't say that that's a note. I don't even know what string I'm hitting. I mean, I know what string I'm hitting, but you can't tell what string I'm hitting if you close your eyes. But as you bring your palm back towards the saddle, the note starts to speak. That's what I mean by the note speaking. Towards the sound hole, not a lot of note. Towards the saddle, much more note. So you want to find that sweet spot for you where you get that thud, that almost round, globby-like sound, but have that note speak, right? It's kind of a teeter-totter in a way. And again, just move towards the sound hole, move away from the sound hole. You'll find the sweet spot for you. And then if you want to mess with something that, a song or a way that you can try this out, what I want you to do is just take a basic 12-bar blues, right? You can take your index finger, grab the 2nd fret of the A string, your ring finger will grab the 4th fret of the A string. And you're just gonna bounce back and forth between those two notes on the A string, and you're gonna be striking the low E and the A string together. Sounds like this. And you can even experiment with your positioning while you're doing this. Not ideal. Tough to talk through that and play at the same time, but I think you get the idea in that what you're trying to do is find that sweet spot, a spot that's comfortable for you that allows you to get the sound that you want. Is this just limited to single notes? Absolutely not. Of course, single notes work great. But you can play it with chords too. Get the idea. The more comfortable you get with palm muting, the more you can apply it to different musical scenarios, be it chords, be it leads or solos, or just kind of a fun little bass line. But it is a wonderful tool in your tonal toolbox. It's not something that should be overlooked, and I think it has its biggest impact in terms of what you offer dynamically to a song, especially if you're playing with other people. It's really nice to be able to play with someone else and offer something that's just a little bit different, even if you're playing the same chords. You know, I could be sitting with Bobby and Rachel. I don't know Bobby or Rachel. I could be sitting with Bobby or Rachel, and they're both playing chords, and I could be playing the same exact chords, but giving them a different treatment. And that allows me to add another layer to a song. Add something a little bit different, of course, but still participate. So I'm really curious if palm muting is a new concept for you, a new technique for you to try. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and if you plan to use that technique on something, let me know what you're gonna use it on as well. Now let's dig into what's been happening in my world, rather what's been happening in the acoustic world / my world. I've got some great albums to recommend, some stuff I've been listening to this week, but first, a rare occurrence, a sighting as rare as Bigfoot or the other guy, the abominable snowman. Slash, we all know Slash from Guns N' Roses, right? You think of Slash, you think Top Hat, you think Les Paul. Those are the two things that you associate with Slash. Well, I found this clip of Slash recently playing at a bar. Maybe it was in LA, maybe it was in Nashville, don't know where the bar was. But he was sitting down and playing, and I was like, Slash doesn't sit down. He's known for like the power stance, you know? I think of him playing with Michael Jackson. He's got the like air flowing on him. His hair's flying around. He's got the power rock stance. Yeah, this was a little different because Slash was playing pedal steel. I never associated Slash with pedal steel. I had no idea he even played pedal steel, but lo and behold, he certainly does. Let's give it a listen right now.
I've got a good woman at home who thinks I do no wrong. Sometimes, though, she just ain't always around. But don't you know that's
I want to into my musical world. I want to share with you some albums that I've been listening to this week. So I'm going to trade this coffee cup for a stack of albums that I think you'll really dig, that I've been digging over the last few days. First up, Khaki King's Modern Yesterdays. Khaki King is a fantastic modern percussive fingerstyle guitar player, and I think you'll really dig this album if you like that style of guitar. Khaki King was one of the first artists that I ever heard in that vein, aside from Michael Hedges. I remember seeing Khaki King live at the Old Town School of Folk Music, probably 2007, 2006, blew my mind. So that album holds a special place in my heart. It's not her first album, it's actually her latest album, but it's just as good. Next up, we've got Billy Strings' Highway Prayers. You know what you're gonna get when you get a Billy Strings album. This does not disappoint. There's a couple tracks where he plays, I think, nearly everything. What's the one? I can't think of it right now. Oh, I gotta find it. Leadfoot. Leadfoot, he plays like the banjo and all sorts of stuff on. But anyways, a fantastic, full, beautiful double album from Billy Strings. It's his newest release, to the best of my knowledge. Next up, a fantastic singer-songwriter, John Moreland, Birds in the Ceiling. This is a recent release from him, and it does not disappoint. I've been listening to a lot of John Moreland lately. This album and Big Bad Love, which I really, really enjoy. I have Big Bad Love for Big Bad Love. But this album, again, it just encapsulates one of the best modern singer-songwriters of our age. Next up, we've got Julian Baker's Little Oblivions. You might recognize Julian Baker from Boy Genius, where she is with Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, and of course, Julian Baker herself. This album is just a continuation of that. It's kind of that's not the best description, actually. I wanted to learn more about Julian Baker, so I thought, what better way than to get one of her solo albums? It's awesome. It's not Boy Genius, but it is along that same thread. If I was a radio DJ, I would play like Boy Genius and then maybe another song and then one of Julian Baker's songs, just to kind of tie it all together. And last but certainly not least, an oldie but a goodie, Charlie Patton, Volume 1. This is from Third Man Records, which is Jack White's company. I guess you can call it a company. They put out 4 volumes of this, and it's all of the original Charlie Patton recordings, and it's a treat to listen to. It's like stepping back in time, and I love the cover. I love how creepily cool is that cover. It's just fantastic. So check this out. I got all 4 volumes. I ended up getting volume 2, 3, and 4 when I was in LA some years ago at Amoeba Records. And then I had to order volume 1. I think I found it some small record shop because I wanted to complete the set. I'm into complete sets. Anyways, that's what I've been listening to this week. I hope you enjoy those recommendations. If you happen to get one of those albums, if you happen to already love one of those albums, let me know in the comments below. A couple more news nuggets for you from my friend, two from my friend, Tony Furtado. He just released 2 new songs, one that I've just been wearing out. It's called King of the Crag. I believe he wrote it for a rock climbing movie. I don't have all my details straight, but I'm pretty sure he did. Let's give it just a quick little listen right now. It's a beautiful slide guitar piece, so I hope you enjoy it. And speaking of Tony Furtado, he is currently in the studio working on a new album and is doing a fundraiser to raise funds to produce that album, to duplicate that album, and of course hire the musicians to play on that album. So please visit Tony Furtado's website to see how you can help. Spreading the word is a huge help. You know, even if you can't donate, even if you're like, it's not in the cards for me right now. That's fine. That's fine. Just spread the word. Tony is a fantastic artist. He's a dear friend of mine. I had a chance to play a couple gigs with him in Montana this last summer. Just a great experience for me personally, but just musically, and it was just awesome. And I'm so excited that he's going to be releasing new music soon. But of course, with releasing new music in the 21st century with all the digital stuff and all of this stuff, it's becoming harder and harder. So please check that out if you are so inclined. And then next, this isn't a news nugget. This is quite simply something that you need to know about. I've been curious about these rubber bridge guitars, right? I've seen various YouTube videos of people either modifying their current guitar with a rubber saddle or a rubber bridge, and then I saw that Orangewood had a guitar with a rubber bridge ready to go. So what was I to do? What was I to do? I had to order the thing to see what it was all about. It's really cool. It took me a second to get used to, but it's really cool. Let's do a full deep dive right now. All right, let's have a look at this guitar. This is the Orangewood Juniper Live. It comes in around $395, and I would put it in the experimental guitar category because it has a rubber bridge. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to like the rubber bridge because it takes everything that I love from an acoustic guitar, the ringing notes, the sustain, the depth, and essentially strangles it. And you're left with this dull and thuddy sound. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would I want an acoustic guitar with a dull and thuddy sound? I would file this guitar in the experimental guitars category because it is not going to be your main guitar. It's just not. But it offers some really wonderful texture if you're recording, if you're songwriting. And I also have some other secret bonus reasons why this guitar would be a good fit. I'll get to those in a second. But first, let's go ahead and listen to it again. Quick spec rundown of the Orangewood Juniper Live. It is a parlor-sized guitar, so it is small. It's very comfy to hold, a perfect couch guitar. It has a solid spruce top. This one's done in a sunburst. They also offer it in black and I believe a number of other colors. Laminate mahogany back and sides, mahogany neck, open gear Grover tuners. You'll see this floating tailpiece. You commonly see it on either resonator guitars or even archtop guitars. Kind of matches the vintage vibe. Of course, a rubber bridge. You'll see the volume knob. This does control the volume for the humbucker right here in the neck position. And you get some really cool tones when you plug this guitar in. It accentuates that thud and almost creates a very consistent, universal palm muted kind of feel. In terms of comfort, I think this guitar is a great fit for a smaller framed person. Not only for smaller framed people, but if you find yourself wrestling with dreadnoughts or even OMs, this guitar is even smaller than that. So it's really easy to manage. As I mentioned, it's a parlor-sized body. It's easy to get your arm around. The scale length, which is the distance from the nut to the saddle, is 24 3/4 inches. And that's pretty akin to a Gibson acoustic scale length. The nut width is 1 3/4 inches, so you've got some extra room for your fingers there. But the thing that I want to highlight here are the strings that it came with. They are Ernie Ball stainless steel flat wound strings, gauged 11 on the high E to 50 on the low E. So it's kind of like a custom light set, very slinky under the fingers. It took me a while to get used to because I'm used to a little bit more tension. So paired with that low or that lesser scale length, as well as those lighter strings, the strings are very slinky, very noodly. So where the hell would you use use a guitar like this because, as I mentioned, it's not going to be your main guitar, and I think it really shines in a recording setting. This is a guitar that you could record if you have a specific part that needs a very specific tone. If you're looking for something that kind of conjures up maybe some old blues, thuddy, gritty, muddy vibes, this is a great fit as well. I should mention it comes with a gig bag as well, which is always nice. And in terms of, the span of guitar cost, this comes in at the lower end, so it's a pretty nice experiment. It's not an expensive experiment. Not cheap by any means, but certainly, again, on that lower end of the cost spectrum. One of the kind of hidden uses I think this would be really good for is if you have kids. Let's say the kids are in bed, you want to sit down with an acoustic guitar, but your guitars are just too loud. They just make too much noise. This is a great option because it is very muted, as you've heard, and it still gives you that acoustic guitar feel. It still feels like you're holding an acoustic guitar. Sometimes I'll play my electric guitar, unplugged of course, when the kids go to bed, which is great, but I don't get that acoustic guitar feedback, that acoustic guitar feel. This gives you that, and it does lower the sound tremendously, again, as you've heard. So I think all in all, this is a great guitar for somebody looking to experiment with tone, experiment with recording, but again, that little hidden niche use for it could be, I've got kids and I just don't want to wake them up. It's no doubt that that guitar is an odd bird. I'm curious to know what you thought about it. Let me know in the comments below. Is that something you would consider? Is that something that you'd like to use on maybe your own recordings or maybe just your own guitar playing time in general? I found it to be a really nice couch guitar, especially when the kids are asleep and I want to play guitar in the living room. The kids' rooms aren't too far away. I wanted that acoustic feel, but I couldn't play a full-blown acoustic guitar because it would wake them up. That guitar fits the bill perfectly. Probably not what it was designed for, but a cool little side benefit, that is for sure. But again, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Maybe you already have one and you really like it. If that's the case, let us know how you use it. I think it's one of those guitars that seems cool, looks cool, you play it, it's kind of neat, but then you're like, what the hell am I gonna do with this thing? What's it good for? So go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Let us all know. I do have a trivia question for you. Before we get into some other tonal experiments, if you want to get weird, you got to stay tuned for this next little section because I've got some things that you can use on your acoustic guitar as it is already to make it sound like a completely different instrument and make it sound just weird. And it could be a creative fountain for you. But first, trivia question. And this has to do with pickups. Here's your question for the day. How does a piezo or under-saddle pickup on an acoustic guitar work? How does it work? What makes a piezo or under-saddle pickup on an acoustic guitar work? If you fancy a guess, plop it in the comments below. I will reveal the answer in just a short little bit. But first, let's talk about tonal experiments. One of the things with acoustic guitar is you kind of get what you get. Right? You can have some subtle tonal variation on your acoustic guitar. You can pick closer to the sound hole. You can pick closer to the bridge. You can mess with string gauges. But basically what you're gonna get is the sound of an acoustic guitar. That's not a bad thing. But sometimes you need a little creative spark. Sometimes you need something to kind of, kick you in the pants, light a fire, just get some different sound, a different perspective on that guitar you know and love. So I want to share with you a couple gadgets, a couple things you can do to make your guitar sound completely different. And the first one is something you may have heard of. I certainly have, but it's newly revised. The Tonewood Amp. They're just coming out with the Tonewood Amp 2, I believe. I think it's a beta version. Well, Mike Dawes had a chance to check it out. And Mike Dawes is a phenomenal player of all varieties, all different genres, etc. But he is mostly known for his creative arrangements of popular songs using tapping, percussion, etc. He put the new Tonewood Amp through its paces, and it is so rad. I think the biggest advancement in the Tonewood Amp is its pairing. Now, the new one pairs with an app on your phone, so you can control presets and other various things. A very cool piece of technology, and let's just go ahead and give it a listen.
Yes! Oh, I can change it to flanger in here. Ah ha ha! That's the sound. I don't know know what I did, but I want that sound. That's insane. That sounds so good, what?
Next up, the Passerel Bridge. Yes, this is something that is probably not on your radar. It's bizarre, it's weird, it's really cool. But it basically takes your guitar and turns it into a completely different instrument. Are you familiar with the koto? I believe it is a Japanese instrument, rather large, tons of strings, and you actually pick both sides of the strings. Creates very cool kind of staccato, percussive, articulate melodies. Hard for me to describe, really hard for me to describe. But the Passerel Bridge essentially is a bridge you put on the middle of your guitar. I believe you put it on the 12th fret, maybe the 15th fret. I should read the instructions. Anyways, you put it on the middle of your guitar neck and it creates this koto-like instrument where you have the ability to pick the strings on both sides of this Passerel Bridge. I tried it. I haven't figured it out yet, but wow, is it a totally different look at the guitar that you know and love. I will recommend this. If you choose to use the Passerel Bridge, I would use it on a guitar that you would consider a beater guitar or a lesser expensive guitar, because I do believe it puts some stress on the top, on the strings, on the bridge, etc. So I used it on a travel guitar that I have that I don't really care about in the sense of it getting damaged. It's kind of the beater guitar I have around here at the studio. But to see the Passerel Bridge in action is a thing to behold. And speaking of Khaki King, I mentioned an album of hers that I've been listening to. Here is Khaki King demoing the Passerel Bridge. One more oddball thing I have to share with you in terms of creating a different instrument out of your guitar, and then I'll show you some things that you can do right here, right now, today with nothing extra, or very minimal extra things. This next thing I have for you is called the Sound Stone. It's also called, a different company makes it, it's called an EBow. And essentially what it is, I don't know how it works. It's a device that has a light in it, and I believe it has some sort of vibrating characteristic. And you put it over your strings, or strings, singular, and it creates kind of this constant drone. There's a Indian instrument, a Shruti box. It doesn't have the same kind of like as a Shruti box does. That's a technical term. But it creates this beautiful single note drone. And you can use it in conjunction with a slide. You can use it in conjunction with just a regular chord and just let the one string kind of resonate. It's a bizarre effect, but something that I think is really cool that you should know about. Tough, again, for me to describe, so we're probably better off looking at a video of it in action. Here is the Sound Stone. And again, it's also the EBow, but made by a different company. There's a couple different companies that make this device, but in particular, this one is called the Sound Stone. I've got a guitar story coming up that you need to hear. Plain and simple, you need to hear it because it's about a teacher practicing what he preaches, or rather a teacher who wasn't practicing what they preached. Before we get there, just a couple of other modifications or tonal variations you can bring to your acoustic guitar that are pretty minimally invasive. One is a partial capo. It can put you in a drop D-like tuning immediately. It ends up being drop E. We don't have to nerd out about it, but partial capos are really cool. There's also another partial capo that puts you in the equivalent of like a dadgad tuning. But again, I think it's an E derivative of that. Whatever the case may be, it's basically an alternate tuning at the snap of a capo. So plop that capo on, you get some interesting sounds, some interesting voicings out of your guitar. The second thing I want to share with you, and this is one that you probably know about, but you might have been or might be intimidated to do it rather, and that is alternate tunings. I remember when I first started playing guitar, I heard of alternate tuning, specifically the Black Crowes, She Talks to Angels. And I thought, man, that'd be cool to play, but I ain't gonna change my guitar's tuning. No way that's gonna happen. Too intimidating, too many strings, too many moving parts. It's not that bad. It really is not that bad. A lot of alternate tunings, I would stick with something like open D tuning, D, A, D, F sharp, A, D from low to high. It's not that bad, and you get some really cool voices out of your guitar, some really cool resonance, and just weird chord shapes where you don't have to do that much. Like I'm talking 2-finger chord shapes. So that's another experiment you can try. And then of course, I mean, we can talk about pedals. That's just a whole can of worms, but try pedals on your acoustic guitar. Why not? If your guitar has a pickup in it, plug it into a pedal. Start with delays and reverbs. They'll usually give you the best results. Heck, you can try distortion if you want. You can try flanger, chorus, all that stuff. Give it a shot. Why not, right? If it doesn't work out, return the pedal or sell it on reverb. And then lastly, something that's a little bizarre, Nashville tuning. You might not be familiar with Nashville tuning, but essentially you buy a 12-string guitar set, right? Set for a 12-string guitar, a string set for a 12-string guitar. You remove the thick strings and then just use the octave strings. And you replace your regular guitar strings with this octave set of 12-string guitar set. Man, this is a lot of sets going on. You replace the normal 6 strings on your acoustic guitar with the octave strings from a 12-string guitar string set. And you get this really bizarre, chimey, cool effect. It's not for everybody. It certainly is not something that you'd want to do long-term because it can mess with the setup of your guitar. It's very much reduced tension on the top. But it's a cool experiment to try. Again, if you have a guitar laying around that's maybe a beater guitar that doesn't get a lot of attention, certainly something to try. So just a couple tonal experiments overall. I thought in the essence of revealing to you the rubber bridged guitar, I thought it'd be cool to share some other kind of off-the-wall tonal things that you can do with your acoustic guitar. Again, to get more out of it, to get, to get a different perspective on your acoustic guitar, to have this kind of creative spark immediately without having to be like, waiting for the motivation. You just kind of have this built-in motivation because it's a new thing to figure out. So try those things out. If you have tried some of them already, or maybe these are new to you and you're excited about it, again, let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious as to what you're up to in your guitar journey. And speaking of what you're up to in your guitar journey, we're gonna hear from Barth Montel. He shared a guitar story, and it is essential. It's essential for anybody that's ever played guitar, anybody that's ever tried to learn guitar, period. He comes to a conclusion in this story that is so refreshing to hear. I feel like it should be on a billboard. I feel like you should be handed this story whenever you buy a guitar. Whether you're brand new, whether you've been playing for a while, I think you should be handed this story. I think it should be required reading. Don't worry, I'm gonna read it to you here in just a second. One of the things with the new version of the Acoustic Tuesday show is that I wanna share these stories because real stories by real people are real inspirational, and they give you real world perspective on the thing that you do, that you love, this hobby, this passion that you have of guitar. It gives you this alternate perspective that helps you, I think, appreciate it more. It inspires you to pick it up. It inspires you to dig into the meaning of, why you play guitar in the first place. And like I said, I think Barth's story is required reading. Everybody that plays guitar, everybody that plays an instrument should be required to read this. So without further ado, here is Barth Montel's guitar story. For years, I told my students, it's okay to mess up. That's how we learn. They'd struggle with typing or math or spelling, and I'd coach them through the frustration with enthusiasm. But one quiet evening, I realized I wasn't living any of it. My evenings were predictable, comfortable, stagnant. I preached growth and risk-taking all day, but at home, I played it safe. That's when my eyes landed on the small, dusty guitar leaning against the wall in my son Jesse's room. It had been his when he was little, a forgotten JB36 with a laminate top and a few battle scars. For years, it had just been there, a decoration, a relic. But that night, it felt like a challenge. I picked it up. It felt light in my hands, but the strings were stiff and unfamiliar. I strummed, and the sound was awful, hilariously awful, like a yowling cat trapped in a shoebox. And I grinned, because that was the moment I knew I'm all in. I'd found my discomfort, my challenge, my chance to finally practice what I preached. I started carving out time in the mornings, just 15 minutes. My fingers fumbled, my strumming was chaotic, my wife Angela would quietly excuse herself, my daughter Elise would giggle. But I kept at it. I bought a chord chart, built calluses, played the same song 10, 20, 30 times in a row, every day. Doubt crept in often. I started wondering if some people just weren't wired to play music, but I never wanted to quit. Each new chord was a puzzle, each sour note a clue. The process was humbling, but strangely exhilarating. After almost a year, Angela offered to buy me lessons. I reached out to every local teacher I could find. No one had openings that fit my schedule. I was stuck. Then one night, I found Tony's Acoustic Challenge online. The format, the energy, the testimonials, it all made sense. It felt like someone had designed this exact thing for people like me, people trying to find their rhythm late in life. I signed up, and slowly, things started to change. Tony's lessons gave me structure. His mindset gave me permission. Suddenly, wrong notes weren't failures, they were feedback. I'd flub a finger-picking pattern, then laugh and think, okay, well, that's one way not to play it. The important thing was showing up, practicing, being patient. Progress came in flickers, a clean G chord, a melody that sounded like a song, and then a moment I will never forget. One evening, I was in the living room, working through Blackbird. Angela walked in and leaned against the doorframe. I kept playing. When I finished, she smiled softly. "That was nice," she said. One small word, but it carried the weight of months of off-key flubs, sore fingers, and quiet commitment. A few weeks later, I was practicing something fingerstyle when Elise looked up from her homework. "Dad," she said, "can you play that part again? That one sounds like a lullaby." My heart swelled. My music wasn't just noise anymore, it was connection, it was emotion, it was heard. Now, I still mess up all the time. There are days my fingers feel like sausages. My chords sound muddy, but I show up. I keep playing. That little guitar from Jesse's room, it started this. It's still here, and every time I see it, I remember the real growth happens just beyond our comfort zone. When I tell my students that failure is a stepping stone, I mean it now. My fingers and the calluses on them are proof. Because sometimes the sweetest applause isn't from a crowd. It's a smile from your wife, a quiet request from your daughter, and the feeling that finally you're living what you teach. Every Friday, we email out a guitar story just like this to remind you what really matters, so your playing stays rooted in meaning, not just practice. If you'd like to receive the Friday email or submit a guitar story of your own, go to guitarstories.com. I should mention this. If you ever have questions for me about playing, about gear, whatever, guitar questions, plop them in the comments below. I'd love to answer your questions on a future Acoustic Tuesday show as well. With that being said, oh gosh, I almost forgot. It's a good thing I checked my notes. The question I asked at the very top of the episode. We've been talking about gear and guitars and all this stuff. It's fun. Does a better guitar make you a better guitar player? We can file this under the coaching section of Acoustic Tuesday. Does a better guitar make you a better guitar player? Wow, that's a can of worms in and of itself. I'll try and keep this tight, but I am going to step up on my soapbox here. So get ready, buckle down. Yes and no. Yes and no. Here's the skinny. You can become a great guitar player, a successful guitar player, whatever success means to you. That could be jamming around the campfire. That could be quite simply playing a clean G chord. That could be playing with your neighbor down the street. You can become the guitar player you want to become with any guitar. $100 guitar, $100,000 guitar. Doesn't matter. Whatever guitar you have access to is the guitar that has the ability to make you the player you want to be. Now with that, here comes the caveats and the asterisks and the disclaimers. First and foremost, make sure your guitar is properly set up. Okay, you can buy a $300 guitar and it could play great. You could also buy a $300 guitar and it could play terribly and it could ruin your experience with the instrument. So whatever guitar you have, whatever guitar you plan on getting, get it properly set up. Just take it into your local shop, ask for a basic guitar setup, and they're gonna make sure the guitar plays and sounds as good as it possibly can. And luckily for us in today's day and age, lesser expensive guitars are awesome. The lesser expensive guitars of today blow away the lesser expensive guitars of yesteryear. And I'm talking about those old Ks, those old Stratatones, those old Harmonies that were terrible and you couldn't even adjust them. So whatever guitar you have, get it set up. Now, the other side of the argument is, yes, a better guitar will make you a better guitar player, but not in the way that you think. Because like I said, any guitar can be set up to where it plays optimally, to where it sounds optimally, so that you don't have to wrestle the thing to get sound out of it. But I'm talking about this X factor of inspiration. And there's this saying, it was brought up to me by a high school hockey coach, because we had to wear ties to the hockey games, right? Whenever I went and played hockey, we had to wear a dress shirt, ties, nice pants, etc. Look good. And the whole idea was look good, feel good, play good. And I think the same damn thing applies with guitar. Look good, feel good, play good. If you buy a guitar that inspires you, if you buy a guitar that you're like, I can't believe I own this guitar, I can't keep my hands off of it. It's a Martin D45, and it's just beautiful. I love everything about it. I love the artists it makes me think of. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, amongst many other. Dan Fogelberg. Gosh, who else played a Martin D45? Come on, Tony, think, for crying out loud. Okay, whatever artist played a Martin D45. If the guitar makes you think of that artist, it's already tapping into this well of inspiration. Furthermore, if you just quite simply like the look of it, that means you're that much more likely to grab hold of it and play. Furthermore, if it sounds good, you're going to want to play it that much more. So yes, a better guitar will, in effect, make you a better guitar player. All that said, there's a big piece of the puzzle here that I have not mentioned. I've talked about the guitar. The guitar is not you. Okay, you are the key piece in this puzzle. Your drive, your ability to get in touch with the passion and the reason why you play guitar is the crucial element that will make you a better guitar player. If you keep it fun, if you keep it light, if you keep the pressure off yourself, if you avoid comparison thinking, you will become a better guitar player regardless of the guitar that you have. But let's be honest, the guitar does make a difference for all the reasons I mentioned. So I'm stepping down from the soapbox now. Thanks for coming with me on that journey. But let me know what you think. I'm curious. This is a kind of a hot topic. Does a better guitar make you a better guitar player? What's your take on it? Some of you are watching this and you're brand new to guitar and you're thinking, I don't even know. I never thought of it before. Some of you have been playing for a long time. Some of you have been longtime collectors or players. Doesn't matter. I'm curious what you think. Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we have one more item of business, and that is to give you your trivia question answer. And just as a quick reminder, your trivia question was, how does a piezo or undersaddle pickup on an acoustic guitar work? Well, I'm glad I asked, because here's the answer. Piezo pickups utilize piezoelectric crystals. Crystals, this sounds like wizard stuff, right? Piezo pickups utilize piezoelectric crystals, which generate an electrical charge when pressure is applied. In acoustic guitars, these crystals are placed under the saddle or on the bridge plate, where they sense the vibrations of the strings and convert them into an electrical signal. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I'd picture pickup manufacturers calling the trolls that live in the forest, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, I got a big pickup order coming in. Can you guys go ahead and harvest some crystals for me? I got to mash them up and put them in this pickup." Cool, thanks. Yeah, no, that'll be 2 weeks. Good, perfect. How cool is that? I never would have guessed that a piezoelectric crystal. I don't even know where you find that stuff. I have to do some more digging. Anyways, interesting factoid if you've ever wondered how those pickups worked. And with that, I'm going to sign off for today. But before I sign off, I do want to mention again, if you are an older guitar learner, an older guitar student, please check out Tony's Acoustic Challenge. I think you'll really dig it. I know that you'll really dig it. Every single week, I teach the fundamentals of guitar through songs that you know and love. And there's over 41,000 students already in there, and the community is thriving, and the impact that it has on people's lives is huge. The impact that it has on people's view of the guitar in their life is huge. And you can just get a sense of that by reading any of the reviews. We get more reviews about how the guitar has changed people's life. And it's it's just awesome that Tony's Acoustic Challenge is a facilitator of that. So if you want to learn more about Tony's Acoustic Challenge, please click the link in the description below. And with that, I should now officially sign off. I'll give you a sneak peek into next week. Next week, another guitar story came in and I could not keep this one out of the show. It's so good. Next week, we're gonna listen to a story about grief and guitar. And we're gonna also look into modern lutherie, a hands-on look into modern lutherie. I'm lucky to have some beautiful guitars here in the studio from luthiers that make 10, 12, 14 guitars a year. So we'll have a look into that whole world. If it's new to you, this is gonna be must-watch TV. Can we say must-watch TV? It's gonna be a must-watch episode. What else we got? Oh, this is fantastic. A simple way to make hard chord transitions easier and more beautiful. A lot of times we think, oh, to make chord transitions more beautiful, that's gonna make changing chords that much more hard. No, what I'm gonna teach you next week makes chord transitions easier and more beautiful. I don't know, it's wizard stuff again. Anyways, that's happening next week on the Acoustic Tuesday show. Remember, you can catch Acoustic Tuesday every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I very, very, very much appreciate it. I'm very grateful for your time that you share with me. And before I let you go, please do remember this. Your guitar success, however you define it for yourself, is directly related to your guitar routine. So please invest the time in developing your guitar routine and make sure to have fun every single day that you play. Thanks again for joining me today, and I'll see you next Tuesday on the Acoustic Tuesday show. Cheers to you.